Hello out there. We're on the air. Do I look really zoomed in? Maybe I was just close. Good morning, folks. Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. Are we live here? I don't know. It says 0 people are in here. I don't think that's the case. Are we live? It would definitely check out if things didn't work today. That would be oh, there we go. Pretty poetic. Pretty poetic. Okay, we are live and we're live on zap.stream. And we already have one zap in the zap.stream from Daniel, 420 sats. Thank you. Thank you, Daniel. The daily zap from Daniel. Okay. Well, you might notice that my voice is a little bit coarse this morning. And it's a miracle that we're here today. It's a miracle. Let me tell you about my last 48 hours. Saturday we had a golf tournament. Par 3 tournament. Par 3 tournaments are basically, they move the tees up on every hole. So you play all 18 holes as short par 3s. Not short, some of them are long, but like 140 to 180 yards in there. And every hole has a prize of $10,000 if you get a hole in one. So it was a long day. I left the house here at about 6 a.m. on Saturday morning. Went to the No, sorry, I didn't leave here at 6. I woke up at 6. Drove to the tournament, golfed all day, ate some supper, partied for a while. And I think it was about 4:35-ish, somewhere in there a.m. So pretty much a full 24-hour shift on Saturday. Thankfully, it wasn't too hot, so I wasn't like dehydrated and sunburned, but it was a long day. Then I drove home yesterday, did our golf show last night, and went to bed. And here we are this morning. So we are on the air. Good morning, Noah. Good morning, Crypto Heathen. So my voice, we were doing a lot of singing at 2 or 3 in the morning. So that's where my voice went to. It's still in Dauphin. BTC Backpacker. Good morning, beautiful Bitcoin family. AD. Good morning, my friend. Daniel. Over in both today. Love to see that. Showing some love on YouTube and on zap.stream. Adrian Lee. And Johnny Midas. Johnny Midas. I haven't seen that face in a while. Or that J, I shouldn't say face. Well, let's get right to her. As you can tell, it's going to be an exciting show today. I'm going to try to keep things pretty light, but we got a ton of stuff to get through today. So much news happening over the weekend. So many good signs for the Bitcoiners out there. Over on zap.stream. Hang on a sec. Let me refresh this. We got a zap goal today. Mondays are for Arnie. So any zaps we get on Monday, I move out of the wallet into Arnie's little wallet for himself. I just figured that's a good way. It's kind of like an insurance policy on a dog almost. If he has any vet bills, if he has anything that comes up, maybe we build him a new doghouse or whatever it may be. But the Mondays are for Arnie. So, and big shout out to somebody, I don't know who it was even, but after the stream on Friday, somebody zapped 4,200 sats saying, have a good weekend. Could only join for a few minutes today. I don't know who it was. I'm sure somebody is here today, hopefully, and can let us know who that was, but 4,200 sats. So thank you very much for that. Okay, well, let's start with some metrics. I didn't do any of the usual stuff today just because, I don't know, just really didn't want to be honest with you. I'm not going to lie. I just didn't want to because it feels like for the last 2 months, I've been writing down the exact same thing over and over again. And so I figured we got enough stuff to talk about today. We don't really need to talk about the price of Bitcoin. But it looks like the fees have come down. So currently we're block height 847,350. And we got 48 sats per VByte. So over the weekend, I don't know what it was. Hold on, let me take this off the screen so I don't make everybody dizzy. But let me see what the fees were at there for a while. Where is it? I don't know. I'm not going to. They were like 500 sats per V-byte. I don't know what was going on. Looked like it was some sort of consolidation. I saw that it was a consolidation gone wrong. I don't know how that happens or why, or if that happened, but that's what I saw. So 500 sats per V-byte over the weekend. It's dropped down, normalized somewhat, still pretty high though. So unless you need to be sending Bitcoin today, I wouldn't be sending Bitcoin today. That's my metric for today. Okay, so let's get off of here. Let's kick things off. No, let's do the daily block reward first. Noah, we got Chris HB over there in zap.stream. We got Letha, and we got another NPub. I don't know who that is, but Noah just zapped 1,000 sats for Arnie. So thank you, Noah. I very much appreciate that. And so does Arnie. If he knew what Bitcoin was, he would be very appreciative as well of that. Oh yeah, what was I doing there? Oh yeah, daily block reward. Things are going to be a little bit slow today. Just reflection on my brain right now, I would say that. Okay, so let me find this. It was a really good comment, actually. Right here. So this is going to kind of tie into today's show a little bit. It's called Nothing Can Stop What's Coming. And I just feel like we're at a point right now. There's so many things happening in Bitcoin. There's so much demand. We talk about this a lot on the show. I mean, the whole thing here on the show is that, actually, I didn't even welcome everybody. Speaking of that, welcome to the daily Bitcoin journey. This is actionable and this is logical discussion for Bitcoiners and for future Bitcoiners. But on the show here, we have a phrase that says all news is good news and always be bullish in Bitcoin, because there's really no reason. You can look as hard as you want to. You can try as hard as you want to find something that could stop Bitcoin, but you're not going to get very far. So everything we kind of talk about on here, it's not much hype. It's just logic and talking things through. And a lot of it leads to very bullish thoughts over Bitcoin. So this is a comment over the weekend. It was from yesterday. It was on a video called How to Get Bitcoin Without Buying It. And so this comment here is from Stuff Bud Does. Also a good name. Looks like a guitar man. But they said, I do website and graphic design. Last year, to get into Bitcoin, I began accepting Bitcoin payments. I only got 4 payments so far in Bitcoin, but what I have thus far received is now worth twice as much in USD terms. I also do proofreading and copy editing. Still trying to get my first Bitcoin payment for those services. Oh, okay. I misread this. But at the same time, it doesn't matter. I left a comment saying we're going to talk about this on the show today. And I'm going to be your first client because I want to hire Stuff Bud Does to do a little bit of graphic design work for me. And so I'm going to be paying him in Bitcoin. I told him to reach out. But this is the point that I really want to get across here. He said, I've only gotten 4 payments so far in Bitcoin, but what I have got so far is now worth twice as much in USD terms. And I think that that's an important way to start the show today, because even though whether you're on nostr, whatever you're doing with your Bitcoin right now, 6 months ago, if I would have received some sats on zap.stream, those sats would pretty much be almost worth double that they were then. So if I got 100 sats and it was worth 5 cents at the time, it's now worth 10 cents. And that's a very small 6-month window there. So just keep that in mind. If you're too fixated on the price in fiat terms, it's going to keep going that way forever. So all you have to do is just be patient, accumulate and accrue as much as you can. And over time, you're going to have more purchasing power with it. That's the beauty of Bitcoin. Whether that's your nostr account, your zap.stream, your personal stuff, or your business. And I think that that's why a lot of businesses right now are taking Bitcoin. And some people even offer a discount if you pay in Bitcoin. Because if you think about that, the purchasing power in 6 months has pretty much doubled for the income that you received. So it's definitely worth it. Good morning, Daddy-O. Muslim Bitcoiner says, snake steak could be a climate-friendly source of protein, Pythons turn their food into meat pretty efficiently, study finds, making them an intriguing alternative to cows. Oh, that's a Washington Post article. Okay, that makes more sense. I thought you were trying to convince us to eat snake instead of cow. One thing we're pretty fortunate here in Canada and in the US as well, but specifically here in the prairies, you drive anywhere for 100 miles, you're going to run into a bunch of cattle farms. And so the beef here is second to none here in Canada. Alberta beef and the prairies, we make pretty good beef. And I don't think that will ever be replaced by anything, including pythons. Ninju, good morning. Good morning. Ballsy Golf over in Zap.stream as well. There we go. Oh, it's Craig there. Okay, it says, not sure what's up with my pub, Craig. I got you. Adrian's over there. Phoenix Falconer's over there. And Craig says, scratchy voice, George, sending sats for some lozenges. I definitely should have had some lozenges this morning. But at the same time, it is what it is. We had a good time. We sang some songs. And should give a shout out to Zap.stream as well. We got 21 viewers over there, as many as YouTube right now. It's happening. It is happening, folks. Okay, let's get to some Bitcoin news here because there is a plenty of them. I want to start with this video, though. I want to kick off the week and the show with this video. This video is from, here, let me get it up here before I talk about it. Oh. This video is from Heeland on Twitter, on X, whatever you want to call it. And I think it's a good way to start the show today. Pretty, I'll just play it and you can decide for yourself what it is. There's no audio. Well, good news is we only wasted 46 seconds there. And you need the audio. The audio makes it what it is. So hopefully this works.
Bitcoin is worthless artificial gold.
You're not producing anything.
Bitcoin tracing crypto, and that simply flooded the system with money. Yes, we did.
To suspend temporarily the convertibility of the dollar into gold.
You shouldn't expect it to go up.
We're not here just to take part. We're here to take over.
They may take our lives. They'll never take.
Oh, I missed the end of it there. How do I get out of there? There we go. So that was a video from X this morning that I found. I thought it was worth watching. It just seems like there's a couple things there. Number one, so good. Like the people in Bitcoin, I really believe this. And I know there's been people that talk about this kind of in a joking way as well, but like the meme stuff and the way to actually communicate and get a message through to people is with memes, is with things like that. And I feel like Bitcoiners specifically are extremely talented at getting their message across in a certain way to appeal to certain people. And I think that, you know, as time moves on here and as we get further down this road into Bitcoin, it's going to be things like that, and it's going to be memes, and that's how people actually take information in now. For the most part, the general public doesn't sit there and watch 1, 2, 3 hour videos of discussions on things. It's just not the way it is. But I feel like Bitcoiners are very effective at getting a message across there about how many things have gone wrong in the last 130, 140 years and what's led to this point. And to me, it seems like every single day, more and more people are becoming aware of this stuff. If you would ask the general population 4 or 5 years ago about central banks, about the IRS, about the Federal Reserve, about the FBI, there's been so much in the last 4 or 5 years that have come out about this stuff. That was kind of, everybody's kept in the dark for a lot of years. And it's easy to understand why, because up until this point, the only thing that people had to rely on in terms of getting their information was what? The radio, the TV, and the newspaper. That's where everybody got 100% of their news from on Earth. And so whatever those three mediums were, radio, TV, and print, newspapers, whatever information was in there, that's pretty much what the truth was. And it wasn't until the internet and the decentralization of the world that this message and this information is able to spread much easier now. And people are waking up to it. Brennan here said a meme is like a 1,000-word argument. It really is. I think it's actually more effective than that. So wanted to start the show with that, but the second part there is, no, that I got 2 parts there. Okay, what else do we have here? We're going to start with a couple small pieces of news here. I'm gonna skip that one. This one. So let's start with this. Have you ever seen the Bitcoin is Beautiful video by Swan? I think I have. I don't have it on hand here, but I'm pretty sure I've seen that. It's pretty similar to that. Okay, let's sorry, Zap.stream. I got the sound fix there for you. Okay, so this is just something cool I wanted to share with a little bit of information as well on it. Okay. So this is from Cedor. Cedor is a Bitcoin backup. I believe it's like a steel plate or something you can effectively keep your private key on. So they introduced the Bitcoin BIP39 water bottle. So this water bottle has all 2,048 seed words laser engraved on a beautiful stainless steel. A perfect OPSEC conversation starter. Holds 1 liter of liquid and literally all the seed phrases in the world. Can we zoom? No. Anyways, you can kind of see it there, I think. But it has all 2,048 seed words engraved onto it. Pretty cool. I mean, I don't love spending, I think water bottles are shit coins myself. But I thought that was pretty cool. So another point there is that the 2,048 words, I think a lot of people might be unaware of kind of how the Bitcoin backups work. So originally with Bitcoin, you had a public key and a private key. And that private key, it was very long and impossible to memorize. So this BIP39, Bitcoin Improvement Proposals, came out with a way to convert that key into 12 words. So it's much easier to store, much easier to memorize. And so with that, there's 2,048 words. Some people might think that there's just a bunch of random words as a backup, but there's actually only 2,048 words. And every BIP39 private key or backup phrase, 12-word phrase, has different combination of those 2,048 words. So I just wanted to show the water bottle there and kind of give a bit of information, and for people who are somewhat newer to Bitcoin, because I just know for myself, it's very easy to take for granted the knowledge that you have at any given time. But you always have to remember that not everybody has this. Not everybody's at the same stage of Bitcoin. And it probably took me a few years to figure out the BIP39, the 12 words, the 2,048 potential words in there. So there you go. And it also says a perfect OPSEC conversation starter. I wanted to highlight that point too. And it is. This one might not be as good as like something like this, but that's what these are. Is if you happen to run into somebody in the wild, in person, in public, and you got a Bitcoin shirt or a Bitcoin hat or a Bitcoin water bottle, it's a perfect way to start a conversation and find other Bitcoiners very easily. And you never know what that exchange and that interaction could lead to in your life. So do yourself a favor, get yourself a Bitcoin water bottle or get yourself a Bitcoin t-shirt. We got a couple ways to do that here on the show, friends of the show. First one is juxtapose.store. You can find the link in the description. That's where I got this shirt. And also our buddy Mark, he started selling some Bitcoin gear as well. And there's some King Golf stuff in there as well in his store. So I believe his is Satoshi's only. Hopefully Mark is here today. I didn't screw that up. I got to make sure I get it right. Hold on. I don't want to screw him over here. Where is it? Oh, Arnie's just only satoshis.com. So that is our friend Mark, and he's selling some Bitcoin gear as well. So you can pick one up. Both can pay it. Both accept Bitcoin, and both have some pretty nice stuff there. Okay, let's move on. Jaya says, what about UTXOs? What about it? What about it? Any advice on that? Yeah, my advice on UTXOs quickly would be don't stress out. The two things. Number one, don't stress too much about it. Number two, just learn about it. That's it. I'm not going to sit here and explain it on this show today. There's a ton of information available on YouTube for free. So just take some time, try to understand it. It is a very important step. It's a very important part of your Bitcoin journey in the sense of understanding UTXOs, knowing how to manage them properly. And when fees come down low enough, that's when you have to consolidate your UTXOs. So essentially a UTXO, every time you move Bitcoin, it creates one UTXO. So if you're DCAing and you're moving Bitcoin off the exchange every week, you're going to create a new UTXO every week. And think of every a Bitcoin transaction as just a piece of data. That's all it is. It's just a piece of data. And when you go to send that Bitcoin in the future, when you go to spend it, the more data you have in that transaction, if you got 100 UTXOs, that's a lot of data. And you have to pay for every piece of data. That's how the Bitcoin mempool works. That's how the transaction works. That's how the fee structure works, is it's all based on the size of your transaction. Because in every Bitcoin block, there's only so much space available in there. So if your Bitcoin transaction has taken up a bunch of space with your UTXOs, it's going to cost you more to get space within that block. And yes, small UTXOs can really make Bitcoin DCA regret later. But at the same time, just don't worry too much about it, because I think that the fees are always going to come down. So if you got a bunch of UTXOs today, don't worry too much about it. And the other part, the last thing I would say there is that if you are somebody who doesn't really know much about UTXOs and you don't use a wallet that tracks your UTXOs, consider downloading the Sparrow wallet, and you can actually restore your wallet. Let's say that you have a Exodus wallet on your phone, or a non-kyc, or Mutiny, whatever it is, or Phoenix wallet. I don't know if Phoenix would work because it's on Lightning. But anyways, you take those 12 words from your wallet, you plop them into Spare Wallet, you go import wallet, and you plop those 12 words in there, and then it'll actually show you all of your UTXOs. So most wallets on your phone, most mobile wallets don't track your UTXOs, and you have no ability to manage them. You don't get to decide which ones you spend. You don't get to see how much is in there. But if you use Spare Wallet, you have a much better interface there, and you can manage them much more efficiently. Elves Trump, do you have any silver? I do. Do I want to have silver though? I don't. So I'm trying to find a way to sell some of my silver. I went through a phase in my life where I was accumulating a lot of silver, and now I have too much silver. And I do think that silver will have a use case in the future. I think it's going to be a lot more it is more valuable than it is today. The silver is very manipulated, has been for a lot of years by the banks. But I'd rather hold Bitcoin. That's what I'll say. So I do have silver, but I'd rather own Bitcoin. Daniel says the 2048 factorial has 5,895 zeros after it. That's a big number. So that just shows how secure your 12 words are. Even though they only use 12 or 2,048 words in each phrase, the combination of those has 5,800 zeros after it. So it's very difficult, impossible, I would say, even for AI to guess that, I think, to match your private and your public key together. But one thing to consider there, if you do want to add another element or another layer of security on top of that, is use a passphrase. So if you use 12 words, you add a passphrase to that only you know of. That can be any word that you choose, and it adds another layer of security on top of that. Or a 24-word wallet, you add the passphrase, it becomes a 25-word wallet, and that combination of the 24 words plus a word up here, that's where you want to get to in Bitcoin security. Some more news here. This was an interesting one to me. Not surprising, but still interesting at the same time. Interesting timing of everything here. So I know we got some Jason Lowry fans in the house, myself included. He's the author of Software Book. So it says, Space Force Major in Software author, Jason Lowry. I can confirm that I've been reached out to by folks from Trump's campaign administration about you-know-what, Bitcoin. I told them I'm ready and willing to move to DC if called upon. So you kind of have to just use your head here a little bit in terms of what's coming here. The title of today's show is Nothing Can Stop What's Coming, which ties into this, which ties into Trump. And Trump was the guy who created Space Force. And if you look at what Space Force is, a lot of people laughed at him for doing that. But this guy, a major in Space Force, a department that Trump created, one of the majors there, Jason Lowry, wrote a book about Bitcoin. And now he's saying that he's been reached out to by Trump. And whether you believe that the timing of this, I'm pretty sure Trump and Jason Lowry have spoken before about Bitcoin. But anyways, it's cool that he's making it public right now. And if you understand the nothing can stop what's coming part of what I'm talking about here, I think that Bitcoin is kind of the key there to everything. And that's what a lot of people fail to understand with that whole movement. Great answer on the UTXOs, of course. I don't know if Lowry's book is still banned. I know that it was for a while. Jason Lowry starring in Spaceballs. So that's I didn't have there was a video that I watched of Trump this morning talking about tips. So maybe let's get into that right now. There was no video on it, but Trump was in Vegas yesterday and he was talking about tips. And he said, this is the first time I'm announcing this, but very early in my presidency, I'm going to eliminate income taxes on tips. So if you're a server if you work in the restaurant industry. I think that's why he waited till Vegas to announce that, because there's so many people who work for tips in Vegas. So obviously that was well timed by him. But he said that we're not going to tip, or we're not going to tax your tips. And so then I started thinking a little bit harder on that. And if this whole thing does what we think it's going to do in terms of Bitcoin, you receive a tip. You know, if you marry those things together and say that, okay, in 10 years from now, most people are going to be using Bitcoin every day, whether they know it or not. Whatever app they have on their phone, they're going to hold some Bitcoin. They're going to be able to convert that to whatever they want. But it's going to be very mainstream in 10 years from now. And at the same time, if you subscribe to the same theory that I do, in terms of nobody's really going to have a boss anymore. Everybody's just kind of going to do their own work and contract out their work to other people, or work online, similar to what Bud does in terms of graphic design, website, proofreading, that kind of stuff. And they get paid in Bitcoin. They don't have a boss, but they accept payments. So then you think about it a little bit further and say, okay, well, if I did some work today for somebody, they paid me in Bitcoin. What's the difference there between accepting Bitcoin for your services and accepting Bitcoin as a tip? Let's say that I just paid, he helped me with my website. I sent him 20,000 sats for it. Is that a tip, or is that something else? And then you start going down a little bit further. And if you realize kind of what the general theme here is moving forward, in my opinion, is that we're not going to be paying income taxes anymore. We're not. And the reason for that is because we're moving into a world where we're going to use natural resources instead of human resources. So our governments right now are incredibly fat, fatter than they've ever been before. And they earn their income, they fund all of their operations through human resources, taxing humans. But if all of a sudden you have a way to capture natural resources through Bitcoin mining, through wind, solar, volcano energy, hydropower, cooking oil, whatever it is, all of a sudden you don't have to rely on human resources anymore. You don't have to tax humans anymore, because the natural resources are the things within the country that are creating the money. I think that the governments are going to really shrink. They're going to eliminate income taxes on humans because they won't need it anymore. So that's kind of, if you subscribe to those three theories there, that's pretty positive news, I think, for humanity compared to where we are today. Rock and roll is in the house. Nothing won't stop, can stop the Bitcoin train. Cooking oil. Yeah, cooking oil. So I saw somebody in I forget where it was, Paraguay maybe. Anyways, one of the South American countries, I think it was, but somebody was using used cooking oil to mine Bitcoin. So that's just a very small subset of kind of where things are going, a very small scale, but anybody can do that today. We have the ability to do that today. So if you think on a bigger scale in terms of countries using their natural resources, converting that directly into Bitcoin, that's what funds the governments in the future. So think back to what Trump is talking about. Oh, Guatemala, that's what it was. But think back to what he was saying there. They're going to stop taxing tips. But then we move into a world where you can't really differentiate between a tip and income that would be taxable. And then you move to, okay, if we're not taxing humans anymore, how are governments making their money? Natural resources. There we go. We got a raid here from Kieran. I don't know what a raid is, but it sounds pretty scary to me. And we also got a zap from Carnage over on zap.stream, 1,000 sats. Love that. A raid from Kieran and a zap from Carnage. That's a pretty good Monday morning to me. Pretty good Monday morning to me. Okay, so that's the things I want to talk about in terms of Lowry, software, natural resources, and future income taxes. Okay, let's watch this next video here. This is about Thailand. And I know that there's a few people within the community here who are living in Thailand right now. It was pretty appropriate and right in line with what we're talking about today. Oh, let's get this off of there. I do that every time. Okay, I'm going to do this properly this time so we have sound. But this is Max DeMarco. He's I don't know what you'd call him, content creator, focused on nostr and focused on Bitcoin. He's got a really good YouTube channel. He's got a bunch of really good documentaries in the Bitcoin nostr. He did a seed oil documentary as well that was about 20 minutes long. So check him out. But this is a video that he just posted over the weekend, I think it was, but about paying for Muay Thai classes in Thailand with Bitcoin. So take a look at this video and then we'll discuss it after.
So I'm currently living in Thailand, which is a country known for its good food, but also for its combat sports.
It's a hard sport, man.
I want to get my first Bitcoin Muay Thai class. My trainer for today is Jordan. He was a professional fighter and now runs Evolution Samui. Before the workout started, I posted on nostr that I'm planning to pay this class with Bitcoin zaps.
Yeah. Since when do you actually accept Bitcoin here? The other first today, so we're gonna start the revolution.
Yeah, man.
Let's go.
Come inside, come inside, come inside.
So freshly orange-pilled, we started our trainings. Like a real Bitcoin class, we just focused on so many details today. And it was great because he was looking at my punches, at my kicks, and was able to tell me what are fiat kicks and what are Bitcoin standard kicks. And in the end, we had a pretty good sparring session together.
That's my kicker. Change the world.
The cool thing about all of this is that the same post I posted asking about a Muay Thai gym here in Thailand, people sent me actually money. So instead of likes, they sent me some Bitcoin to be able to pay. And I used Primal, and they also have an integrated Bitcoin wallet, which I'm so sweaty. Here, Bitcoin wallet, which I'm gonna use now to pay Jordan for this class. I got a nice t-shirt and then used the Primal app to pay for this workout.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Great training today.
We drank a protein shake and that was it. My first Bitcoin Muay Thai class.
Okay. Tell me how anybody is ever going to stop this now. So that was his first, the guy said that was his first Bitcoin payment that he accepted. And after going through that, after doing the class, after accepting Bitcoin, after seeing how easy it was, tell me how he's not going to be incentivized to accept Bitcoin from now on. Because it's the same kind of thing. It's a tip. You send somebody, if I went to a Muay Thai class, if I went to a hairdresser, if I went to a meat store and I paid them in Bitcoin, who knows about that transaction other than me and them? It's the 2024 version of paying somebody in cash, except you can do it to anybody in the world. If I wanted to, what could I use as an example here? As an example, if I wanted to, even the guy from YouTube today, if I wanted to hire him to work on my website, which this is a real life use case because the website that we built for bitcoinjourney.ca was found on nostr. I connected with a guy on nostr. He was from Austria. He built the website. We communicated back and forth with email. I paid him in Bitcoin for it. And who else knows about it other than me and him? Especially if you're using things like nostr, Primal, Lightning, eCash. Nobody else knows about that. And it's the cash version of, or the cash equivalent of digital money. And if I wanted to send him $500 in cash, think about that process. How could I pay a guy in Austria with cash? The same kind of mentality there in terms of only him and I know about that transaction and all the people on the show today. But it's cash, but better. And as more and more people realize that, as it spreads to Thailand, as it spreads to Guatemala, as it spreads to every place on earth is going to touch Bitcoin and people are going to experience what that means. in terms of the 2024 version of cash is Bitcoin. And the other part there is that when he received that payment, think about it. Think about the traditional financial system. You go to pay for a Mai Tai class here in Canada. Okay, I can pay with debit. I can pay with credit. That's pretty cool. I can just tap it and it's done. But from their perspective, from the Mai Tai class's perspective, that business owner, he actually doesn't see that payment for a couple days. And the banks have the ability to either stop my payment if they don't like what I'm talking about on YouTube. His bank can stop that payment if they don't like what service he's offering. With Bitcoin, there's nobody in between there. It shows up in his wallet instantly, not within a couple days, and nobody needs to know about it or be able to stop that payment. So when you have an idea like this, and I think there's a quote that says there's nothing more powerful than an idea whose time has come. And that's where we are today. And as more and more people learn about this and understand what's happening here, absolutely nothing can stop what's coming here. So I thought that was pretty cool. I wanted to give a shout out to our folks, our friends in Thailand. I want to get to Thailand at some point here. So it's nice to, that's a nice thing about Bitcoin too. If you get part of a few communities within Bitcoin, a couple networks, whatever that is, could be the Living in the Future one. It could be one on X or whatever. But you start meeting people around the world, and anywhere you go, anybody you talk to, and regardless of where you travel, you're going to have somebody who can either help you out with things to do there, or you can stay at their house, whatever it is. Like this is so much bigger, I think, than people really understand with Bitcoin. It's not just a currency. And speaking of that, we got our buddy Dan from Ireland. Hello to Jor and all you peeps on this manic Monday. Adrian, look at that. Made me happy with the Mai Tai. That's James Bond sport. Oh, scary. I wouldn't want to encounter James Bond in an alley. Mai Tai and Kieran zapped 1,000 sats over on Zap.stream. Thank you, Kieran. And I actually saw that my balance is running low here, so I better top this up before it cuts off. Big shout out to Kieran for this amazing service that he's providing here on Zap.stream. Well, I almost did run out. Okay, let's top this baby up. So that is the power of Bitcoin and Nostr and all this freedom tech that's happening here, including Zap.stream, which is connected through Nostr. Okay, I'm topped up. Okay, what else we got here? We're 45 minutes into this baby. What else do we have? Oh. Okay, some more news out of Semler. I don't know if we talked about this on Friday. I don't think we did because I left my notebook on the table outside. Elves Trump says deep state will go after Trump's bank accounts. Maybe. If you subscribe to the theory that the deep state is actually still in control of anything right now. But they could, but I mean, that'd be another selling feature for Bitcoin. If they went after Trump's bank accounts, but he said, okay, well, they attacked my bank accounts. They froze them. So you can actually send me Bitcoin and it'll get to me. That'll be another good way to wake a lot of people up, as if we needed more reasons. JRS says Bitcoin dominance is still an uptrend. I'm not touching alts. Yeah, that's a good mentality. What have the alts done for anybody lately? Nothing. So, speaking of that, what did I do here? Speaking of that, I think it was Friday night. I was getting ready to, I was packing and I was just looking for something to listen to on my phone. So I actually I went to Spaces on Twitter just to see what was going on in there. I thought I could actually watch old recorded versions of things, but I couldn't find them. But anyways, I ended up in a meme coin shill space. And you should have heard the people in there. It was actually very entertaining. I think that if I find any more of those, it's just interesting to hear like a Bitcoin discussion versus a meme coin discussion. So essentially what it was is there was this guy and a girl who were leading this chat, and anybody who wanted to could pop in and shill their meme coin. And I didn't listen for very long, maybe 20 minutes, but it was entertaining. But the guy was like, okay, well, tell us about your meme coin. What gives it value? Why is the price going to go up? And the guy said, well, we received an anonymous donation from somebody else of $70,000 that we're going to put into marketing. So that was the value of the meme coin, was that they're going to have this $70,000 that they can market this coin, and that's the value there. You listen to discussions like that, I think, and it really gives you a much bigger perspective, or a much different perspective in terms of what we actually talk about in Bitcoin. Like, it's just two totally different worlds in the alt versus the Bitcoin stuff. Brennan says, I try to explain this to normies. They didn't see the lack of final settlement with fiat as a problem. No, nobody does. Nobody sees it as a problem unless you own a business. So with even our website, like for King Golf stuff, if somebody makes a payment on there, we actually it doesn't arrive in our bank account for 2, 3, 4 days usually. And if you think about all the different parties involved in that single transaction there. So if somebody buys a head cover from our website, my bank has the ability to say no. They can stop payments from coming in. Shopify, if they don't like what you're selling on your website, they have the ability to stop the payment. And whoever's actually buying it, their bank can stop that payment. And it takes 2 or 3 days for that whole thing to go through. So you pay for it one day, but it actually doesn't arrive in my bank account for at least 2 or 3 days there. With Lightning, when I bought this shirt on juxtapose.store, I paid with Lightning and it arrived in Eric's wallet instantly. Final settlement, instantaneous. So yes, the consumer themselves don't really see that problem, because when they make a payment, it comes out of their bank account right away. So they're not even aware of this problem. But as a business owner, it's such a pain in the ass. And that's why it's comparable to cash as well, because if you hand somebody a $20 bill, that's final settlement as well. Not only does nobody know about it, but it's final settlement. It's in your hands now. So this is next part here. This is Semler Scientific. They were the ones making all the noise in the last couple of years. So this is from Bitcoin News. I did want to give a shout out to Bitcoin News this morning. They had a couple really good discussions last week. So the first one was on Bitcoin power law. You can go to Bitcoin News' Twitter feed and you can find their old recordings. They do a couple live shows every week where they just have guests on. It's like a Twitter space, but for Bitcoiners instead of meme coiners. So anyways, they did one on Bitcoin power law. So if you're interested in learning more about Bitcoin power law, they did a really good discussion on that last week. And they also did an episode called State of Bitcoin Mining. And on that show, they had Bob Burnett. And if you've been watching the show for a while, we're a big fan of Bobby B. And so they had him on to talk about the state of Bitcoin mining. And I believe that his company, I think it's called Barefoot Mining. I don't think they're public. I think they're a private company, but he's a big advocate of like smaller, more decentralized mining pools. And I think that that's what the Barefoot Mining business is that he operates. So anyways, Bitcoin News, check them out if you need some stuff to listen to today. Those two chats, they're Bitcoin power law and the state of Bitcoin mining. But this is, it says, after Semler Scientific adopted Bitcoin as a primary treasury asset in May, a recent SEC filing reveals a $17 million Bitcoin purchase, adding to their initial 581 Bitcoin. And it says Semler Scientific's current holdings are at 828 Bitcoin right now. On the same day, I believe it was June the 6th, on the same day, they announced that they purchased more, 17 million, or what would that be, like 250 more Bitcoin. They also announced that they're raising an additional $150 million in capital. They're going to raise that in debt and they haven't announced that they're going to buy Bitcoin, but that's pretty much the MicroStrategy playbook there that Semler Scientific is adopting right now. They purchased 828 Bitcoin and they're raising more debt to buy more Bitcoin, I think. So pretty important stuff. And that's going to lead into this next part here of something that Michael Saylor tweeted over the weekend. Where are we here? Oh, look at this. This shows so perfectly how early we are in this whole thing right now. Over in Zap.stream, not only did the creator of Zap.stream zap 1,000 sats to the show today, but they're doing some live troubleshooting in the chat. So the creator of Zap.stream, Kieran, is over there. Craig's asking him questions and he's troubleshooting it in the live chat. Where else would you ever see that right now? Nowhere is the question, is the answer, I mean. Okay, so let's, this was interesting to me. I've never really looked at it through this lens before. So this is from Saylor, Michael Saylor. I'm sure you've heard of him before. But he says that this is a tweet that he sent out over the weekend. And it says 34 Bitcoin ETFs hold 1,031,973 Bitcoin. So for the most part, I think we spend a lot of time talking about the US ETF market. I think there's 9 or 10 of them in there. And that's what everybody's pretty focused on in terms of how much Bitcoin they're buying. And for good reason. They're the main ones here. You can see the total US ETFs at the top here. They got 621, no, that's a lie, 883,000 Bitcoin for a total of $61 billion worth. 883,000 Bitcoin. But then you look at the ones all around the world here. So last week, actually, on the show, we talked about this one at the top here. The highest holdings outside of the US ETF is actually the one in Canada here. They've been around the longest, granted, but they're still the highest holders outside of the US market. They actually have more Bitcoin than Van Eck. They have more than Invesco. They have more than the Franklin, and pretty close to the Bitwise ETF. So that's the Purpose Bitcoin ETF here in Canada. They hold 26,000 Bitcoin. And then you got one from Germany. You got some from Switzerland. Another one here in Canada, Liechtenstein. They hold 7,000 Bitcoin. So for a total of basically 1 million Bitcoin. That's how much the ETFs around the world are holding right now. And that's after when did the ETFs come out? In January? That's about 6 months into this. The ETFs have 1 million Bitcoin out of a total of 21 million Bitcoin. Minus the 4 or 5 million that are probably lost. When that number is going to grow here. So it's just very interesting to me, kind of where everything's at right now. So you got the ETFs. They got 1 million Bitcoin. I did want to give a shout out here to the BTC Moon guy. Great show. Thank you. I wasn't sure how this show was going to go today, just based on my current state. But anyways, thank you for that. And good to see you again. I haven't seen you for a while in the chat. But so that's kind of the point of the show. We watched some videos, checked out some Bitcoin news. But just to kind of round things out here, the Bitcoin ETFs are holding 1 million Bitcoin right now. You have MicroStrategy. You have Semler Scientific. You have Metaplanet. That's three corporations on Earth. And when you see that happening, when you see things like Semler buying more Bitcoin and doing a debt offering of 150 million to buy more Bitcoin, just think logically here. This strategy is working. It's going to be the only strategy that works over this next decade. And every company on Earth is going to adopt this strategy. So there's 1 million to the ETFs after 6 months, do you think that that number is going to be higher or lower in a year from now? 3 companies are adopting this strategy: MicroStrategy, Semlar, Metaplanet. In a year from now, do you think there's going to be more companies doing this strategy or less companies doing this strategy? We have people paying for Mai Tai classes in Thailand. We have more businesses accepting Bitcoin every single day. More and more people are looking for ways to earn Bitcoin. And in a year from now, do you think the number of businesses accepting Bitcoin is going to be higher or lower? So if you answered higher to all of those questions, and you also factor in the fact that the human resources versus the natural resources, put all these things together and try to stop that. Try to stop that. It's not in one country. If this was in Canada or the US only, that was the only place that Bitcoin was doing anything, it would be very easy to stop that. Very easy to do. But it's global. It's a global revolution that's happening here with a global asset, global demand for it. And there truly is nothing that is going to stop it at this point. There's nothing that can stop what's coming here in Bitcoin. So usually I have some sort of actionable advice for you. And I didn't have anything written down today because we had enough to talk about. I figured just increasing your conviction over Bitcoin, being more excited to be in this space, and just doing every single thing that you can to get more Bitcoin right now. We got some breaking news from Rock and Roll in the chat here. Whoa. Okay, well, we already answered the question. I said, in a year from now, do you think there's going to be more or less companies adopting that strategy? And Rock and Roll says, Canadian public company DeFi Technologies has adopted Bitcoin as its primary treasury reserve asset. It just bought 110 Bitcoin. Also mix in the fact that I saw a tweet this morning that said that the Bitcoin available supply on exchanges hit an all-time low. So you put all these things together. It's pretty obvious what's going on here. So I guess sorry, I was behind in this chat here. I see Phoenix Falconer zapped 21 sats and Microdose Bitcoin zapped 21 sats. And our good friend My Path to Fire zapped 100 sats today. And I think I missed giving a shout out to Craig. I didn't see it. It didn't show up in the show here. But I think that Craig also zapped 1,000 sats. I could be wrong. But anyways, big shout out to everybody over there in Zap.stream. So this is kind of what I would say, just for some actionable advice before we leave here today. Find yourself a community. Find yourself a community of Bitcoiners, because this whole thing, this whole revolution is much more than just the money. And I think if you can add yourself to a community or a couple communities out there, the group chat that we have going, I saw that somebody started a new group in Signal today, and it's called the Health and Wellness Journey. And since that started today, there's been 58 new messages that I haven't gone through yet. But you want to be part of this. And whether that's for your business, for your health, for your wealth, whatever that is, make sure that you find a community out there, because the way this is going to accelerate, and if you really want to be part of this whole thing here, not just as a buyer, as like a passive investor in Bitcoin, if you want to be part of this whole movement and part of this whole revolution, you have to be part of a community for that. Because not only can you start trading your time, your products, your services for Bitcoin, you can start buying your products and services with Bitcoin. And the bigger your network and within Bitcoin, the bigger the community that you're part of, the faster you can exit the fiat system. And I think that that's kind of the goal here. I mean, we talk about Bitcoin as like an idea, as an asset, as all this, as a revolution. But at the same time, the goal here is to exit the fiat, exit the slavery system that we've been born into and we've been forced into for a lot of years, for our entire lives, You want to get out of that system. That's the goal here. Bitcoin happens to be the alternative and a way to get out of there faster. But that's the goal here, is you want to exit that system. And the bigger your network, the bigger your community, the faster you can exit that. So consider that today. If you do need a community to join, we got about 5 or 6 new members in the last couple of days of the Living in the Future. There's different things going on there. I don't think you can really put a price on that right now in terms of the fiat. But just within this little community here, we have a Fedi mint. We have people talking about Linux. We have Bitcoin inheritance planning. We have a Sat Signal, which is the new group chat that just started. We got a mining discussion and a health and wellness journey within this little community here. So it's pretty cool. That's what I would say, is just focus your time, focus your energy on getting as many Bitcoin, as many sats as you can. And the perfect way to do that, we also have the Sat Earn, which I forgot to mention. So we're about almost 30 days into that, where we're trying to earn 100 sats every day for 100 days straight. And not only create the habits there, but just share ideas, share resources for ways to earn Bitcoin. And I actually just found one last night that I'm testing out today before I share it with the group. But just another way to earn free Bitcoin every day. And you'd be amazed by the compound effect here. If you zoom out, instead of looking week to week, month to month, if you take this over 5 years and you do everything that you can to earn Bitcoin, after 5 years, you're going to be you're going to be living a different life. Dan says it's a forced slavery system. It is, and nobody wants to talk about that because it's such an evil word that we've just kind of been taught to tune out when people say it, but it's essentially what it is. And there's really no way to sugarcoat it because it's the opposite of that. Deplorable Nerf Herder says the first country that figures out that it can run their printing press and convert it into Bitcoin wins. I think we're a little ways away from that still. But if you take El Salvador as an example of what a country can do, they've mined 500 Bitcoin or more now using their volcanic energy there. So they're a perfect example of actually using natural resources instead of human resources. So kind of the end goal in El Salvador is to eliminate income taxes. And the way that they're going to do that is through natural resources. The energy's there. All you got to do is hook it up to a Bitcoin miner and it's cash. It's the first asset that you've actually been able to convert natural resources, physical energy, into cash directly. Because if you think about it there, like El Salvador 5 years ago or 10 years ago, before Bitcoin, El Salvador had this volcano there. It's been there forever. But there was really no way to capture that energy because El Salvador themselves, they don't use that much electricity there. And anything excess, they would have to sell. And if they wanted to sell that energy, they would have to send it. And electricity and energy only travel so far, right? And so they would have to sell that to other countries. And if they'd have to find a buyer, so the buyer would have to do these contracts, sell the energy, get the price for it. They'd have to get the dollars in. But with Bitcoin, none of that. You don't have to find a buyer. It's there. You just hook it up. It prints money, essentially. Bitcoin is the best money. So the world's changing one day at a time here. And there's absolutely nothing that can stop that right now. So that was kind of the point of today's show. We're going to end it there. I'm going to get some sleep. No, I'm not. We got a busy day today. Yeah, El Salvador has already done that. Not only are they doing really good things for their economy there, but they're bringing in businesses. They're incentivizing people to move there, businesses to move there. They eliminated all of their crime. And like they went from the most dangerous country on earth to the safest country, I think, in what is it? South America. And Bitcoin is the driving force there. So let's leave it there today. I just saw a message here from Craig say that Friday's app was from me to Arnie. So Arnie had a good day today. For people who are new here in Zap.stream and YouTube, Mondays are for Arnie. So we got a little Bitcoin wallet going for Arnie right now, just as like I don't know, something fun to do. I think everybody should be doing that. Regardless of whatever it is you do, start taking some of your Bitcoin and just creating a few different funds with it. Whether it's like your health insurance, for your dog, for your kids, for a trip in a couple of years with your family. Start separating out some of your Bitcoin. You can actually consolidate some of your UTXOs doing this as well. But just start setting up a few different wallets designated for certain things. I think that's a very underrated aspect of Bitcoin, is that you can do that. You can kind of manage your own wealth. And as the purchasing power here, not the price, but the purchasing power of Bitcoin increases, once it gets to a level where you have enough to take that trip or to buy that new hot tub or to whatever that may be, that's when you spend some of your Bitcoin. And I think that, sorry, I just had one comment here that I saw that I wanted to talk about quickly. Where did it go? It was this one. And this is when we were watching the Mai Tai video. Why am I really blurry here? It's a good indication of my brain right now, but it says, I don't get spending Bitcoin. I'd rather use the trash fiat. Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I think that you got 95% of your Bitcoin that you're never going to spend ever. And when you do spend some of your Bitcoin, you just replace it. So if I wanted to buy this t-shirt today online, what I would do is I would just pay for it in Bitcoin. And then I would go buy $30 worth of Bitcoin and replenish that. So you're not really spending Bitcoin. You're just using Bitcoin as a different way to pay for things. Right? So whenever you're spending Bitcoin, you always want to make sure that you're replenishing that. And we'll probably get to a point eventually here in life where we don't really need to do that. That's going to be a part of this whole journey here, is that you have 5 or 10% that you're actually going to live off of. You keep the rest in your family forever. But that's it. The Wealth Club says, I'm changing my investing strategy. I started investing a small amount of money in a Bitcoin ETF, a small amount in MicroStrategy, and a lot in Bitcoin. Just trying to diversify my Bitcoin holdings. That's a really good strategy. And I like that there's no Bitcoin mining shares in there. But the ETF, the MicroStrategy, and taking self-custody of your Bitcoin, you do that and you start focusing on that. I mean, what's the alternative here? What is the alternative? I think a lot of people, even who watch the show, probably still have some sort of pension or retirement fund that they have, and it still holds like government bonds in it. And it's like, what? That should be a sin in Bitcoin, and that we need to talk about that more, because when you're buying government bonds, you are funding the government. You're continuing to allow this whole illusion, slavery system, control system to continue further. You're funding them. When you own government bonds, you're funding the government. So the first thing that everybody should do, the easiest thing you could ever do today, is just look at your portfolio. If you have any bonds, convert those directly into Bitcoin ETFs or MicroStrategy, and then make a plan to eventually take that out over time efficiently for taxes and fees, and then self-custody that Bitcoin. So that's it for today. I appreciate very much. We had some record numbers in here today for Zap.stream. Thanks to Kieran for showing up and helping some folks in the chat here. And for the SAS today, let me just take a quick look at the stream here. Okay, so we had My Path to Fire, we had Microdose BTC, we had Phoenix Falconer, we had Kieran, we had Carnage, we had Noah, and we had Daniel zapping today. So big shout out to everybody on Zap.stream. Thank you for choosing that. If you are somebody on YouTube right now watching, consider next week joining Zap.stream. Head there right now, Zap.stream, set up a profile, and then you can join us in the chat next week. Apologize, I know that I missed some messages out there, some chats, but we had an action-packed show today. So if you're staying solvent, you're winning. Thank you, Rock and Roll. Thank you, everybody, for being here. And we'll see you right back here first thing tomorrow morning. And if you want information about the Living in the Future, it's in the description below here. It says Living in the Future. Click the link and check it out there. That's it. Dante says the world is brutal. That's just, it's all about your own perspective there. It's very not brutal. It's a beautiful place, beautiful people, and we're heading to a beautiful world here. Just got to be patient and do all that you can to push this thing forward. Small changes add up. Okay. Have a great day, everybody. I appreciate you all. And we'll see you right back here first thing tomorrow morning. Bye-bye.